Greetings, I'm Zachary Hepner. I'm pleased to share this Dvar Torah with you for Parashat Mishpatim. Besides the golden calf narrative, there are very few narratives following the delivering of the Ten Commandments, or the Decalogue. One of the few narratives at the end of Mishpatim Covenant Code reads, Vayal Moshe v'Aaron Nadab and Abihu v'shivim miziknei Yisrael, Vayir'u et Elohei Yisrael v'tachak raglav k'maseh livnat hasabir u'ch'etzem hashamayim latohar. ATZILEI b'nei Yisrael lo shalach yado v'yechazu et ha-Elohim v'yechlu v'yishtu. Moses, Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and the elder and the 70 elders ascended. They saw the God of Israel, and under his raglav was the likeness of a pavement of sapphire, like the very sky for purity. Yet God did not raise a hand against the ATZILEI of Israel. They beheld God, and they ate and they drank. The best translation of ATZILEI comes from Malbim, who says that it refers to somebody who is in a Kabbalistic state of Atzilut, and whose human intellect is connecting to a higher intellect of divine inspiration. Many of the commentators point out that the ATZILEI of Bnei Yisrael must have done something wrong, because God did not raise his hand against them. But what crime they committed is unclear. There's a very brief enumeration of laws following the Decalogue, squeezed in right between the Covenant Code and the Decalogue. The commandment to build an altar of earth and the prohibition of uncovering nakedness at that altar, Exodus 20. God says that you can see that from the heavens I have spoken to you. And then it concludes, Lo talev b'malot ha-mizbachi, asher lo tigaler v'atchalav. Do not make steps on my altar, so you don't reveal your nakedness on it. Immediately following that verse is the Covenant Code. Jump to the end of the Covenant Code, the end of Parashat Mishpatim, and see what the ATZILEI b'nei Yisrael had done. They saw God of Israel, and tachat raglav. They saw something sapphire, tachat raglav. Raglav, legs, is also often used as a euphemism to the male member. For more data on that, please refer to my father's book, Legal Friction. They saw some divine nakedness, tachat raglav, and unlike Shem and Yafet, who covered their father's nakedness respectfully, and they did it backwards, the ATZILEI b'nei Israel, they ate and drank. Laws of nakedness are directly related to how to deal with uncomfortable situations and how to handle the nakedness. In the case of Ham and Canaan, it was not handled properly. In the case of ATZILEI b'nei Israel, I don't know what they ought to have done, but eating and drinking was not the proper conduct. Parenthetically, it's noteworthy to mention that Moshe had turned his head away from the burning bush. That's how he dealt with that uncomfortable situation with the burning bush. This explanation is further supported by the future narrative of Nadab and Abihu, who die in the holy space. And Chazal throw in a curveball, where they say that the crime that they had committed was that they delivered the incense naked. While that sounds impossible and preposterous, the crime of ATZILEI b'nei Israel could support such a hard-to-understand Maimer Chazal about Nadab and Abihu's nakedness. Furthermore on that, look into the story of Paretz Be'uza. Also noteworthy that nakedness was no longer a moray following the eating of the Eitz Hadat in the Garden of Eden. The lesson learned is that nakedness has its space, but also has its boundaries. Boundaries is a Torah value. Sinai was surrounded by a boundary. Noah's tent had boundaries. Clothing have its boundaries. Having a theophany and in a state of Atzilut receiving divine intellect still requires boundaries. And this lesson is the first lesson we learn following the Decalogue, not only because it's an important value, but because it's a theme that repeats itself numerous times in the Torah. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.